To the world, he was the highest paid goalie in the NHL.
And we're going to make sure he's finished as a Montreal Canadian, and to me, that's a big thing.
Montreal's unbreakable savior. But in private, he was an addict, self-medicating to survive the immense pressure.
Being able to basically reset my mind and create some accountability for myself has really been a life changer.
This is the raw story of Carey Price's battle against his demons and his courageous fight for redemption.
I just felt like it came to a point in my life where I really needed to stop.
In June of 2022, Carey Price stood on the stage at the NHL Awards and accepted the Bill Masterson Memorial Trophy, the league's award for perseverance and dedication. It was a moment met with thunderous applause, a recognition of his courageous comeback from a battle few even knew he was fighting. Just 8 months earlier, the man revered as the cornerstone of the franchise, the stoic, unflappable backbone of the Montreal Canadiens, had voluntarily entered the NHL's player assistance program, revealing a hidden struggle that had brought one of the game's biggest stars to his knees.
For a lot of NHL players, I think that's probably the hardest first step. It's probably the hardest first step, I think, for most people that are struggling.
Carey Price's story starts in Anaheim Lake, British Columbia, a remote indigenous community nestled deep in the province's rugged interior. It's a place defined by its isolation, a small Okacho First Nation reserve accessible mainly by small aircraft or a long, difficult drive over partially unpaved roads. This was the world that shaped Carey Price. His mother, Linda Price, served as the chief of the Okacho First Nation, instilling in him a deep connection to his Nuksak and Southern Carrier heritage, roots he remains incredibly proud of.
My mom's watching at home. She was just re-elected as chief, and I'm very proud of her as well. Dahuja Elgacho.
His father, Carey Price, was a former goaltender himself, drafted by the Philadelphia Flyers, but never making the NHL. Carey became Carey's first and most important coach. In the harsh environments of Anaheim Lake, finding ice time wasn't easy. Carey built backyard rinks, teaching his son fundamentals under the vast cold skies of central BC. But organized hockey required a level of dedication that bordered on the extreme. Carey, who owned and flew a small Piper Super Cub plane, would regularly fly his young son over 300 miles each way, a 5-hour drive through wilderness, just to get him to practices and games in the town of Williams Lake. This wasn't just a commute. It was a weekly pilgrimage, a father and son bound by a shared dream and the hum of a tiny plane engine cutting through the remote silence. This incredible sacrifice, this unwavering belief from his father, laid the foundation for the quiet determination that would define Carey's career. From those early days, his talent was undeniable. He possessed a natural calmness in the net, an almost extraordinary ability to stay composed under pressure. To pursue his dream, he had to leave the isolation of Anaheim Lake behind.
Anaheim Lake is, first and foremost, pretty remote.
At age 15, he moved away from his family and community to play AAA hockey, eventually landing with the Tri-City Americans in the Western Hockey League. It was there that he blossomed into the top goaltending prospect in the world, known for his calm demeanor, his flawless technique, and his imposing size.
I feel really fortunate that there's the walkout. I know Oli doesn't feel the same way, but having a guy like him come in helps me a lot.
This led him to the 2005 NHL Draft, a legendary draft class headlined by Sidney Crosby. While Crosby was the undisputed #1 pick, Carey Price was considered a generational talent in his own right. The Montreal Canadiens, a franchise with a legendary history of goaltending icons like Jacques Plante and Ken Dryden, shocked many by using the 5th overall pick to select him.
The Montreal Canadiens are proud to select from the WHL Tri-City Americans goaltender Carey Price.
Being picked that high as a goalie is rare. Being picked that high by Montreal? The pressure was immediate and immense. He was instantly anointed as the savior, the next in line to carry the torch for hockey's most scrutinized franchise. Before he even stepped onto the NHL ice, he added to the hype. In 2007, he led Montreal's AHL affiliate, the Hamilton Bulldogs, on an improbable run to the Calder Cup Championship, winning the playoff MVP award. The performance proved he was ready. He bypassed any further minor league development and made the jump directly to the NHL for the 2007-08 season. He didn't just make the team. He took the starting job, earning all rookie honors and immediately becoming the new face of the franchise. For over a decade, Carey Price wasn't just a goalie for the Montreal Canadiens. He was the Montreal Canadiens. In a city that treats its hockey team like a religion, he became a god, revered by the passionate fan base as their savior. He was known for his incredible consistency, his quiet leadership, and his almost inhuman ability to remain calm under the most intense pressure. He carried the weight of the franchise on his shoulders year after year, often single-handedly keeping mediocre teams competitive. His peak came in the 2014-15 season, a year of almost unbelievable dominance. He led the league in wins, goals against average, and save percentage. He became only the second goalie in the modern era to sweep the major NHL awards, winning the Vezina Trophy as the best goalie, the Ted Lindsay Award as the most outstanding player voted by his peers, and the Hart Trophy as the league's most valuable player.
I'm very honored to receive this. It's very special to me because it is voted by the guys that you compete and battle against all season long. And to receive this, I'm very, very, very honored.
It was one of the greatest single seasons by a goaltender in the history of the sport. He was, undeniably, the best goalie on the planet. He cemented his legendary status on the international stage, backstopping Team Canada to Olympic gold in 2014 with a near-perfect performance in Sochi. He signed a massive 8-year, $84 million contract extension in 2017, the richest goalie contract in NHL history at the time. He had reached the absolute pinnacle of his profession. But the expectation of being Montreal's savior year after year was beginning to take its toll, and beneath the calm exterior, a hidden battle was brewing. He had reached the absolute summit of the hockey world, the undisputed king. But wearing the crown in Montreal comes at a cost, a physical and mental toll that was slowly beginning to tear him down. Being the starting goaltender for the Montreal Canadiens is unlike any other job in professional sports. It's not just a position, it's a legacy, a cultural touchstone. The ghosts of legends like Jacques Plante, Ken Dryden, and Patrick Waugh loom large, casting a shadow over anyone who dares to step into that crease. The pressure is suffocating, amplified by a relentless media corps that scrutinizes every goal, every save, every word. The expectations of the passionate, knowledgeable, and often demanding fan base are astronomical. For over a decade, Carey Price didn't just handle that pressure, he seemed immune to it. His calm, almost zen-like demeanor in the net became his trademark. He was the unflappable backbone of the franchise, the quiet leader, the one constant the team could always rely on, earning him hero status with the fans. But carrying that immense weight year after year takes a hidden toll. After his historic quadruple award-winning MVP season in 2014-15, the cracks began to show, not necessarily in his elite performance on the ice, but in his body. The relentless physical grind of being a workhorse goalie, playing upwards of 60 to 70 games a season under the intense pressure of the Montreal market, started to break him down. He began battling a series of significant injuries, primarily to his groin, hips, and knees, the areas most susceptible to wear and tear for a goaltender, perfecting the demanding butterfly style. These weren't just minor bumps and bruises that could be easily managed. They were significant injuries that required difficult, lengthy rehabilitation periods and often forced him to make a choice: sit out and let his team down, or push through considerable pain for the sake of the crest on his jersey. The pressure to stay on the ice, to be the savior the team and the city needed him to be, was immense. Like so many players brought up in the hockey's warrior culture, he learned to push through the pain. He relied on injections, treatments, and his own incredible mental fortitude to maintain his elite level of play, even when his body was screaming at him to stop. He remained one of the best goalies in the world for several more seasons, a perennial Vezina candidate. He continued to rack up wins and accolades, solidifying his place among the greats. But the injuries were becoming more frequent, the time missed longer, the recoveries harder. The quiet warrior, known for his stoicism, was engaged in a constant grinding battle, not just against opposing shooters, but against his own breaking body. And beneath the surface, hidden from the cameras and the crowds, another hidden battle was brewing. The intense, unrelenting pressure of his position, the chronic physical pain from the mounting injuries, and perhaps the unresolved weight of his unique, isolated upbringing in Anaheim Lake began to create a perfect storm internally. As he would later courageously reveal, he started to neglect his own mental health. In the hyper-masculine world of professional hockey, talking about stress, anxiety, or the emotional toll of carrying a franchise was often seen as a sign of weakness. So he internalized it. He hid his struggles behind the same stoic, impenetrable mask he wore on the ice. And, like many who struggle in silence, he began to turn to substances as a way to cope, a dangerous path of self-medication to numb both the physical aches and the invisible emotional wounds. He was still performing at an elite level, but the foundation was crumbling. This hidden battle, this slow descent, reached its climax during the improbable and magical 2021 Stanley Cup playoffs. The Canadiens, who had barely squeaked into the playoffs as the lowest-seeded team, went on an unexpected Cinderella run all the way to the Stanley Cup final. And the undisputed hero, the primary reason for that incredible journey, was Carey Price. He played some of the best, most dominant hockey of his entire career, putting the team on his back and carrying them against 3 grueling playoff rounds against heavily favored opponents. His performance was legendary, a throwback to his dominant MVP form, a final heroic stand. But what the world didn't know at the time was the incredible physical price he was paying to make that run happen. He was playing through a significant meniscus tear in his knee, an injury that required surgery almost immediately after the playoffs ended in July 2021. He had pushed his body far beyond its limits, sacrificing his own long-term health for one last shot at the ultimate prize, the Stanley Cup that had eluded him his entire career. The Canadiens ultimately lost in the final to the Tampa Bay Lightning, a heartbreaking end to a heroic but costly effort. That summer, as he recovered from the knee surgery, the cumulative weight of everything, the years of intense pressure, the chronic injuries, the painful playoff loss, and his hidden battle with substance use, finally became too much to bear. He had reached his breaking point. He knew he needed help. The man who had spent his entire career being the rock for his team, the calm presence in the eye of the storm, finally had to admit that he couldn't do it alone anymore. The fall was coming. The weight had become unbearable. The Rock of Montreal was about to crumble. But in that moment of darkness, he made the bravest save of his entire life, reaching out for help. The summer of 2021 was supposed to be a time of healing for Carey Price. After carrying the underdog Montreal Canadiens to an improbable run to the Stanley Cup final, he underwent surgery in July to repair a torn meniscus in his knee. The hope was that after a few months of rehabilitation, he would be ready to return to the net for the start of the next season, ready to once again be the cornerstone of the franchise. But the physical recovery was only half the battle. The incredible effort he had put forth during the playoffs, playing through immense pain, combined with the years of intense pressure and his hidden struggle with substance use, had pushed him to his breaking point. He knew he couldn't continue down the path he was on. He needed help, not just for his knee, but for his mind. On October 7th, 2021, just days before the start of the new NHL season, the League and the Players Association made a stunning announcement. Carey Price was voluntarily entering the NHL-NHLPA Player Assistance Program. The news sent shockwaves through the hockey world. The reason for his entry was not initially disclosed, leading to widespread speculation, but the message was clear. One of the biggest stars in the game was stepping away to deal with a personal issue. It was a courageous decision. In the hyper-masculine culture of professional hockey, asking for help, admitting vulnerability, especially regarding mental health or substance use, was still seen by many as a sign of weakness. For a player like Price, known for his stoic, unflappable demeanor, to publicly step away was a monumental act. He spent the next 30 days in the program, confronting the issues that had led him down the path of self-medication. When he emerged in November, he released a powerful and honest statement on his Instagram account, revealing the truth behind his decision. He wrote, "Over the last few years, I have let myself get to a very dark place, and I didn't have the tools to cope with that struggle. Last month, I made the decision to enter a residential treatment facility for substance use. Things had reached a point where I realized I needed to prioritize my health for both myself and my family. Asking for help when you need it is what we encourage our kids to do. And it was what I needed to do." The honesty was profound. He acknowledged the immense pressure he had faced throughout his career and how neglecting his mental health had led him to rely on substances. He took full accountability. The reaction from the hockey world was overwhelmingly supportive. Fans, players, and media praised his courage and his willingness to be vulnerable, recognizing the importance of his message. But his return to the ice was far from simple. While he had taken a massive step forward in his personal recovery, his physical recovery from the knee surgery hit major setbacks. What was initially expected to be a relatively short rehab process turned into a grueling months-long struggle. He would practice with the team, seem close to returning, only to suffer another setback that would shut him down again. The entire 2021-22 season ticked by, and the question loomed: would Carey Price ever play again? Finally, in April 2022, after nearly 10 months away from the game, he was cleared to return. His first game back was set for April 15th, a home game at the Bell Center in Montreal. The anticipation was electric. This wasn't just the return of a star player. It was the return of a city's icon, a man who had faced his demons and was making one last stand. The moment he stepped onto the ice for warm-ups, the building erupted. And when he led the team out for the start of the game, the crowd delivered one of the most emotional and sustained standing ovations in the building's history. For several minutes, the fans stood and cheered, chanting, "Carey, Carey, Carey!" Price, clearly emotional, tapped his heart and raised his stick to acknowledge the incredible outpouring of love and support. It was a moment that transcended hockey, a city embracing its hero not just for his saves, but for his humanity. All right, quick timeout. Love the raw, unfiltered hockey stories? Hit that join button to become an official member of the Skates and Scars crew. Your support keeps this channel alive. And while you're down there, smash that subscribe button too. He had made it back onto the ice, bathed in the adoration of the Montreal faithful. But the final chapter of his comeback story wouldn't be written with a save, but with a speech. The handful of games Carey Price played at the end of the 2021-22 season were a testament to his sheer force of will. He was playing on a severely compromised knee, battling through pain just to get back into the net one last time for the fans who adored him. His performance in those games wasn't about statistics. It was about symbolism. It was about showing up, about finishing what he started, about facing the challenge head on, just as he had done in his personal life. After his final start, a dominant 10-2 win where he looked like his old self, he acknowledged that his future was uncertain, that his body might not allow him to continue the career he loved. But his comeback story wasn't just about playing again. It was about the journey itself. In June 2022, that journey reached its pinnacle when the Professional Hockey Writers Association honored Carey Price with the Bill Masterson Memorial Trophy, recognizing his perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to the game. This isn't an award for the best player, the highest scorer, or the toughest fighter. It's given annually to the one NHL player who best exemplifies the qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to hockey. It's the league's highest honor for character. It's an award for the player who has overcome the most significant adversity, the one who has stared into the abyss and found a way to climb back out. In the history of the award, there was perhaps no candidate more deserving than Carey Price. When his name was announced as the winner, it was a profound and emotional moment. The entire hockey world officially recognizing the immense battle he had won, not just against injury, but against the hidden demons of substance use and mental health struggles. His acceptance speech at the NHL awards ceremony was a landmark moment, not just for him, but for the entire culture of professional sports.
Such an honor for me. I'm very grateful to receive this award.
In a world known for its cliches and quiet humility, especially from a player as famously stoic as Price, he delivered a message of raw, powerful honesty. He didn't just thank his coaches and his teammates. He spoke directly to the millions of people who were still fighting the same battles he was. He acknowledged the darkness he had faced and the courage it took to ask for help. And in the most emotional moment of the speech, he looked directly at his wife Angela and their children and said, with his voice choked with emotion, "I'd like to thank my wife Angela. You've been outstanding. Your strength and support, I wouldn't be here without you." He thanked his kids for giving him the motivation to get better. It was a stunning moment of public vulnerability, raw emotion, and profound love. He was one of the toughest competitors in the NHL, a man revered as a warrior, laying his soul bare for the world to see, acknowledging his struggles and thanking the family who stood by him through his darkest days. He had reached the peak of his redemption. He was a Masterson Trophy winner. Carey Price's journey proves that the path to recovery isn't always straight, but his legacy is now secure. He will always be remembered as one of the greatest goalies in Canadiens history, a master who carried a franchise. But his story became so much bigger than hockey. He emerged as a symbol of quiet courage, a man who confronted the immense pressure and his own hidden battles, choosing to prioritize health and family. Price became a testament to the idea that true strength isn't about never falling. It's about the courage to get back up, again and again. He gave a name to his struggles and showed the world that true strength isn't about being unbreakable. It's about having the courage to admit you're broken and ask for help. Who's another athlete with an incredible story of resilience? Let us know in the comments. Our next investigation is already underway. Hit that subscribe button to be here for it. And to become part of the crew, smash the join button below.